Hello graphic designers, I'm your host Mr. Granlund here, and I'm going to go through some of the tools here in Vector. So first off we have the rectangle tools, and you have, anytime you make it some sort of object on screen, you have the background color which you can update, you have border color which you can change, you can also apply shadows to this, and if you increase the offset you can kind of see that peeking around the corner there. We also have inset shadows as well. Same kind of thing, but they go inside the shape or the object that you're making. Now, in addition to this, we have the round rectangle tool. And just to differentiate that, I'm going to change the color. Now, when you have more than one shape, you can do some things to them. If I hold Shift and click on both shapes here, I get some options up at the top. I can unite and add them, so they're going to be combined into a shape. I can subtract one from the other. I can intersect those shapes, or I can exclude where they overlap as well. And then we also have some functions here where we can flip horizontal and vertical here. So I'm going to go ahead and unite and add those shapes. And I'm going to play with some more shapes here, like the circle shape. And if I hold Shift and select, you can get rather complicated shapes pretty quickly here. And if you don't like the way those shadows or those colors look, you can always turn them on and off using the check boxes on the right side. Now we also have some more complicated shapes here if we click on the three dots area. So this X, maybe I'd like to take that out of the middle too. Hold Shift, and I could subtract that X over there. Now if we want to add more shapes like this lightning bolt, but let's say we want this lightning bolt to go behind, we have layers all the way on the left side here, where I can change which layer is in front and which layer is behind by clicking and dragging in the layers list. I'm going to get to the pen tool in a minute, but let's just focus on the text tool for a second. Now, you can have any kind of text here. Now, when you first type it on there, it's really small. And when you click on it, it doesn't do anything. But if you click off of it in an open area, and then click back on the text, then you'll see the options pop up on the right side. And so you can make the text really, really big. So that's a 300-point font. And there's all sorts of things that you can change. I can change the type of text that we're using, if it's bold, what kind of, this is like an add thing to the text. So for instance, if you want it to be italicized or normal, it kind of depends on whichever font you've selected. And you still have all of these things here where you can change the color, if you want a border, shadows, inset shadows, and opacity so you can see through it. It's always fun to kind of play around with these options too. Next, I'm going to focus on this pen tool. Now, this pen tool, at first, it's a little tricky to understand, but as you get used to it, it's a really effective tool to use. So, it's a point-to-point drawing system. So there's a custom shape that I made, and I can fill it in and do all those, same shape things that we've learned with the other shapes. But you can also draw rounded shapes, and that's where it gets a little bit tricky. So if I click a point, and the tail that comes off is the line that I'm going to make, instead of just regular clicking, I'm going to click, hold, and drag, and you see that line become a curvy line. Now if I click just straight again, it becomes just a regular straight line. So you can use these tools to develop really interesting shapes. Mix and match and do all kinds of things. One last tool is the pencil tool, and it's probably the easiest tool to understand. You just click and drag in the area and it draws a shape. The one trouble with this tool is that usually the lines are and they're not very smooth, and it can help for some things, but there's a lot of things that it just doesn't look very good at. But if you're trying to get something down on paper quickly, it can be a helpful tool to use also. So feel free to use a combination of all these shapes and tools to make some wonderful logos. I hope this helps. Thanks, designers.